From the Terraces,
Cambridge Radio.
Good evening, you're listening to From the Terraces, Rose Ed. I'm your host, Daniel Baker. Cambridge United are in Thursday night action again. Leaders Bromley are their opponents, and they're away this time. Mann and Matt Lockwood join me to preview the 8 o'clock kickoff. Cambridge City have 2 games to go. They couldn't beat Redbridge last time out, but can they get the better of Downham Town on Saturday? Manager Mickey Spillane speaks to us. And Histon need favours and a goal difference swing to make the playoffs. Joint manager Matt Payne will tell us if their dream is still alive or if the focus is on next season now. Got something to say about one of our teams or want to join the discussion? You can do so, 07919 070 490. You can also email studio@cambridge.radio. We start as we usually do with Cambridge United. So a very good evening from our studios here at Gwyler Street. I've got company in the studio. I've got Mann here, making his From the Terraces Rose debut. Very good evening, Jamie.
Good evening, Daniel. Good evening, everyone. I'm really happy to be here, and thank you very much for having me on.
No problem at all. We've got a lot to digest, haven't we, tonight? We've got a lot to digest from Saturday, and obviously the big game tonight. There's a lot of build-up to talk about for Bromley, which is less than 2 hours away now.
Yeah, a really big game tonight and in League One. Bromley obviously can potentially get promoted with a win tonight, so really exciting one.
Yeah, the stakes could not be higher. But Cambridge United are on a high going into the game as well. They beat Notts County 4-0 on Saturday. Let's have a look back and remind ourselves what happened.
Cambridge United are back in the automatic promotion places in League 2 after thrashing Notts County 4-0.
I thought we controlled the game from the first whistle.
Goals from Don Ball, Shane Lovery and James Gibbons put them 3 up by the break.
You see the hunger and desire in the players.
And goalkeeper Jake Eastwood was also sent off.
No dispute in the red card.
But the 10 men pushed on, and a second half header from Gibbons made absolutely sure of the victory.
So Cambridge United beat Notts County 4-0. That was a heck of a victory. But let's talk about form first of all, Jamie, as well. We obviously, Bromley United beat them in the reverse game. They wore their Romsey Mill kit, didn't they? The blue kit, I seem to remember, and did pretty well there. But it's actually surprised to see Bromley in the title race, really, or the promotion race, really, because it's only, 3 years since they were non-league. But we talk about points as well. I mean, News picked up 2 points out of 6 over Easter, the 2 late own goals. I mean, it's pretty bad luck for that to happen, really. Dominating the Swindon one, especially, as we know, and then they bounced back really on Saturday, and that's the sort of character really that you need.
I mean, yes, obviously Andy Woodman's made a huge impact since he came in about 5 years ago in 2021. Obviously they finished 11th last season in League 2, so really good, strong mid-table finish in their first season, and it would be quite historic for them to be promoted, which it looks like they will be.
Yeah, first time they've been the third tier, and it's incredible. They've not got a massive budget. We know that they've not that long ago in the non-league. But they just seem to have, they've been in some ways a surprise package. I think Bromley, some would say really. I mean, people thought, okay, they'll do reasonably well, but no one I don't think anyone really expected them to be as high as they are, really. And the stakes couldn't be higher, really. They could be the first. I think they were saying it's tonight, isn't it? They could actually do it. At least secure that top 3 spot. But then United could have a say in it, and if they beat them,
exactly.
then that throws the cat among the pigeons.
They've had it's all down to consistency. They've been completely consistent the entire season. They haven't really had a drop off, and they had the first chance to seal promotion last week against MK Dons, and so now they're back at home, back in front of their own fans, and surely they'll be wanting to get the job done tonight against Cambridge. So a massive game for the U's. Well,
it really is, and that's the thing. The word consistency is an interesting one because the U's haven't been all that consistent this season. We've seen it happen that. But then actually these days, we say that, but equally they don't really lose that much. There's 2 defeats in League 2 since November. They were saying 2 in 27 the other day. I imagine it's 2 in 28 now. I think it is off the top of my head, or 2 in 29. Either way, not surprising to see them up there now. But we look at the league, and it's just become so unpredictable. Like we said, the U's lost at Barnet not that long ago, but then obviously Bromley have lost to Barrow, who are fighting for their lives. They've lost to the MK Dons, who are up there as well. I mean, can the U's take much from that? Does it prove that anyone could beat anyone, and actually you have to really be on it?
I mean, this League Two season's been so unpredictable. I mean, anyone can beat anyone, and that's why it's so exciting to watch. Obviously, Cambridge recently having those 2 1-1 draws against Swindon and Cheltenham. Cambridge fans, being a bit upset at the end by the way.
They would have been, and that's the thing. And the problem was as well, it was just that they dominated both those games. They missed chances, and it was the same old story as we know. I mean, we've talked about this a lot on this programme, and obviously the Sunday programme as well, about them just not taking their chances and just being wasteful and, being punished for it ultimately, the own goals thing. I mean, for that to happen 2 games in a row, what odds would you get on that? That's quite extraordinary, really. But the Notts County win certainly has increased belief. Let's get the thoughts of Neil Harrison. He was talking about the game in his press conference yesterday.
Players take huge credit for the level of performance, not just for winning the game of football, but for the things they had to deal with during the game. To start as well as we did, to play on the front foot like we did, to be as brave as we were at times, and then to follow a game plan in the last 60 minutes was down to 10 men was outstanding effort by the group, and that shows a real desire to want to win, but also a real tactical understanding as well.
Yeah, the 10 players are something that was certainly emphasised. We'll talk about the goalkeeping situation a bit later on because there has been some news on that. We'll come on to that in a moment. But let's get the thoughts of Harris again. We'll hear from him now. He's been talking about the opponents and what he expects from tonight's opposition.
We managed to do that at the Abbey really, really well over the course of probably 80 of the 90 minutes. 10 minutes after half-time was difficult, but we adjusted well. So we don't know exactly what's going to be thrown at us, who's going to play, what system we're going to play, etc. But what we do know is they've got a relentless nature about them to load the ball into your box, and we have to stand strong to that.
Well, that's very true, really, isn't it? Teams can change shape, can't they? Well, we've seen that happen with many teams where you change, you cut your cloth cut your suit according to the cloth, as they say. So
exactly, it's all about adapting to the opponent, I suppose, and it's going to be really interesting to see how Cambridge line up this evening against a side that's very physical, very loading, very much effective at loading balls into the box. So it'd be interesting to see how Neil Harris approaches this game. Yeah,
you wonder how they do actually, really, because we've sort of seen. The last game, the Swindon one, last time they had a Thursday kickoff, they went with a 4-5-1 against another team in the automatic promotion race. I think it'd be interesting. They probably will go for something similar, would be my guess. We'll probably get the team news while we're on air as well, so obviously we'll bring you that as soon as we get it. We'll keep an eye out and bring it to you. But yeah, it's again, we were just sort of saying about how anyone can beat anyone, really, and you obviously do have to kind of adapt. So that's the thing. There's just so much at stake, as we know. A team wanting automatic promotion, a team that could, potentially just... we'll come on to the kind of the fixture list in a bit as well, but obviously we have to remember as well that you've got that game in hand as well against Grimsby, which other teams don't have, so that is something to consider as well.
Yeah, I suppose it's a psychological thing, isn't it? I mean, Bromley losing on Saturday against MK Dons, they really want to finish the job tonight. Cambridge sort of hunting them down. If they do win tonight, it will bring them within 3 points of Bromley, so with that game in hand. So going to be really fascinating to see, and I think we're going to hear from Matt soon, who's at the game. So
yeah, we will do. We'll be chatting to Matt Lockwood in a moment, actually, our resident use expert. He's actually at the what used to be known as Hayes Lane, but it's now the Copper Jacks Community Stadium. I have to make sure we get that right. So Matt should be joining us shortly. But yeah, so this is a massive game, and obviously the Utes I think they'd only been to Bromley one. I think they played them in the EFL Trophy last year, so it was kind of a new ground until quite recently for them. But we should be joined on the line now by Matt Lockwood. Matt, are you there?
Good evening, Daniel. How are you?
I'm all right, thank you. I've got Jamie in the studio as well, so it's going to have a good just trio discussion now to dissect the game. You're actually at the ground. Are the fans starting to come in now? Are we starting to see any kind of amber and black shirts coming in?
There's quite a few round here, Daniel, I have to say. Obviously, there'll be a few that won't have any colours on tonight because, I can imagine there'll be a few of them sneaking into the home ends, as you can imagine, for such a big game. But the atmosphere is building quite nicely for, the last time I spoke to you, it was a massive game against Swindon, and it's another massive Thursday night game again, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's all been TV, isn't it, really? I think, like I said, we're at the stage of the season where I think, we're starting to see adjustments for TV. I mean, a Thursday game and then a Tuesday game is not something you see very often with the U's, but we've just been talking there about, the situation with Bromley, the fact that I think they can get promoted tonight, can't they? And obviously they've got a home game. They could do it in front of their own fans, so obviously there's something to think about there. But we also saw that the U's know what they're doing. They beat Bromley 2-1 in the reverse game. We were saying as well, it's quite surprised to see them up there as well. But it's just, how's the Notts County game kind of reset the U's in a way? The focus is now kind of, they're kind of now back on track. It's, I think we've hopefully have seen evidence to suggest that. And maybe you have seen evidence to suggest that actually it was just a blip, those 2 games over Easter.
Yeah, and the 2 games over Easter are just one of those games that you get in football sometime where, you do your job for most of the game as we had done in those two, apart from take the chances that we had, apart from the goals that we scored. And, football has a way of coming back to bite you. And it certainly did in those two games. We should have got 6 points out the two of them. We ended up with 2. And the players needed to sort of, A, up their game a little bit, which I think they realised. And B, just realise also, that we are still a good team. And, when we put in the effort and the endeavour that we have done over this whole season, you just stick to what you're doing, you can get the results. And, Notts County obviously made it a lot very easy for us. They were, again, a really poor team like Swindon were. And we were just good at what we do. And, tonight is a little bit of a tougher test. And as I say, Bromley are flying high. Yes, they lost to MK Dons at the weekend, but, a lot of teams do at MK. And, they're very good at what they do at home. They've got a similar home record to what we have as well. And, they know what they want tonight. If they win, they'll be promoted. And in front of your home fans, that's what you want, don't you, really, towards the end of the season.
And Matt, how do you expect the U's to line up tonight? Because do you expect an unchanged starting 11, or do you think Neil Harris wants to adapt to quite a unique style of play from Bromley?
Well, obviously the emergency goalkeeper, I expect to start Jamie. I have no doubt about that. He's not been brought in to sit on the bench, and it wouldn't be fair on Ben Hughes coming in because he did really, really well Saturday under some pressure. But this will be a different test night. Bromley will be putting in set pieces and crosses and everything right underneath him, and it can shatter a goalkeeper's confidence very, very quickly, especially if he does make a mistake. So that'll be one change I'll make. Secondly, I cannot see Shane Lavery, unfortunately, starting. I'd love him to start tonight. I think it would make a hell of a lot of a difference if he did. But, with everything that happened that Saturday, and him probably playing a lot longer than what anybody expected, and with his injury record as well, I imagine Louis Appere will come in and start up front. Other than that, I can't see any more changes. I'd be really surprised if there was any more apart from those two. But Neil's done it before. You think, which way he's going to go with the team, and then, he'll change 2 or 3 or even 4 sometimes. So, but I don't think there'll be too many. I don't think it needs too many. This team is good enough to deal with what Bromley have got, but it's down the other end where they've got to be really, really clinical when the chances come.
Yeah, and we talk about Bromley as well not being the most consistent if we're talking about the last 5 games. But let's focus on this goalkeeper situation then. Now, naturally you'd think Ben Hughes, there was probably a little bit of protector. I think they're trying to shield him a little bit on Saturday. But my understanding about the Jack Walton situation is that a goalkeeper on a 7-day emergency loan has to play, and you can sign an emergency goalkeeper if your second choice has played less than 10 games. Now, that's my understanding of it. And actually, Neil Harris has come out and said actually he tried to act in the best interests of Hughes and actually needed an experienced goalkeeper. Now, if you're Ben Hughes, do you think that's a slap in the face, or do you think actually, he's just trying to do the right thing and trying to do right by me?
I think Neil's trying to do the right thing because I think this type of game and the type of pressure that he'll be under tonight just won't be good for him. Like, in terms of, if he does make a mistake, he'll get crucified. It's on TV as well. Bromley could go up. And, the confidence issue is a big thing. He's a hot prospect. He will be a good goalkeeper, I'm sure of that. I saw enough of that on Saturday. But, he needs more game time at a really good level and to get used to the physicality of which Bromley will bring tonight. And that's the thing. He hasn't been used to that. I think he's only played sort of the virtue games, if that. He definitely didn't play the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, hence why we brought in this emergency goalkeeper for tonight. So, I'm sure Neil sat down with him. I'm sure Neil's had a talk with him and said, look, as much as we want to put you in, it's just not the right time for you because there are so many high stakes and we want to protect you from this type of thing. And it's tough on him and it's really harsh because obviously you don't bring in a second goalkeeper if they're not going to test the number one. But, I feel it is completely the right decision for him tonight. And I have no doubt potentially either Tuesday or Saturday against Barrow, depending on the result. Ben Hughes will probably be in goal if Jake Eastwood is suspended for any longer, Daniel.
Well, obviously this season the goalkeeping position has been a very consistent position, hasn't it? Unlike last season when there were actually 4 different number ones in effect. So I suppose Jack Walton's just got to come in and do a job and try and make that transition as seamless as possible. Yeah,
absolutely, and he's got to get used to the defence, Jamie. And you think what the defence have done all season is keep it tight, clean sheets. And then there's little things, of course, like, we can't not mention the Kel Watts thigh pass, and everybody else is trying to get involved in this type of thing now. But, he's got to build up a very quick rapport with that defence that have been used to Jake Eastwood, like you say, all season. So there won't be, as I say, there won't be as much pressure on him. He's been brought in for a specific reason. So, there will be a little bit of pressure going into this game tonight. And, he's had a bit of experience, but he's not played a lot of football, Jack Walton. So he's going to have to get up to speed pretty quickly. But, he's been brought in for a reason, Jamie, and that's the key thing. Is they've obviously identified him through the list of people that they could sign. They like his character. Neil spoke about that when we brought him in. So they've obviously seen something about him, and if he's out of contract in summer, it wouldn't shock me if he's a potential signing that we were looking at for next season as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's sort of talk about the run-in then at this stage. I mean, we've kind of just been sort of looking through the fixtures and sort of seeing who needs what. Now, obviously, if Bromley win tonight and get promoted, obviously the Salford game, it's more important for Salford, I guess, really. It's kind of more must-win for them. But obviously, if Youth win tonight, it could have a say in the automatic race. We don't know. There's so many permutations. I mean, the picture will look very different by the time by the time the Grimsby game comes around on Tuesday. The U's have this game in hand, though, and that's an advantage in many ways, really. That's still up their sleeves, so that's something that they have that others don't. And then you look at the other fixtures, obviously, Bromley, for example, they've got Walsall on the final day. I don't think Walsall, I think they've got an outside shot at the playoffs. I think, MK Dons have got Crewe, Tranmere and Fleetwood. Tranmere fighting for their lives, but the other two, not a lot to play for. For the U's, Barrow and Crewe and Grimsby as well, the games. How many points realistically would you say the U's would need at this point? With or without, taking the Bromley game out, even with that out of the equation, this still needs 5 points minimum, would you say?
I would say, 5 points minimum. I think if we win the home games, Daniel, I would say that's probably job done. With taking tonight out, Notts County have got a tough game against Barnet on Saturday, and we've seen the run that Barnet have gone, including beating us. So, Barnet have got a real outside shot of the playoffs as well, and they'll be looking to go to Notts County, who are, completely a team under pressure right now, as much as what we are in the chase for the automatics and the playoffs as well. So, it'll be a real high-stakes game there as well Saturday, in which Notts County have got to bounce back from, obviously, after, losing so comfortably against us. So, if you take out tonight, if you write tonight off and just say it's going to be a defeat, I would say win the two home games, and we're probably there with results going our way. Maybe 7 points, at a real push, and that's relying on going to Crewe on the last day of the season. And then if the worst does come to the worst, potentially 9 points just to make sure. But, I don't think we're a million miles away. I think tonight is one of those games where it's a Cambridge United thing where we go and win the game tonight and everybody will be delighted, and then we'll lose to, say, Barrow, next week. Or, this is a bonus game where we get a bonus point tonight. And, if Notts County overtake us on Saturday with, beating Barnet, then we've still got that game in hand, puts us in pole position again, and then it's down to us to see the game, the season out with the last 2 games. But nobody really wants to go into that last game of the season with that type of pressure, Daniel, against Crewe, especially
of course they don't. No.
Shot at the playoffs as well.
Nobody does.
So,
and Matt, and where do you think Neil Harris's mind's at? Do you think he'd take a draw here tonight?
My instinct says he would take a draw tonight. I'd be delighted with a draw. I just think, Jamie, that if we get into Bromley tonight, I watched the game Saturday before our game. I don't think they're that good defensively if we get at them. But that's what we've got to do. I think we have to get at them from the word go. The pressure is all on Bromley tonight. They're at home. If they win, they get promoted. It's a full house again, as you would expect. And, we have to go out there. The pressure is less on us than it is them. If we really get at them and we play the way that we can play, we can definitely get something tonight. I've still got a sneaking suspicion that we could win this game. But I think if you offered Neil a point before the game, he would absolutely snap your hand off it and then reset ready for Tuesday. But I don't know. I've just got a feeling. I don't know what it is, but there is a feeling that, we can definitely win this game tonight. But, we're going to have to be right on it from the word go, because they will be physical. They will be aggressive, Bromley. It's going to be a war of attrition, but that's what Neil Harris likes. He loves an absolute war of attrition, and he'll make it as hard for Bromley as he can. So, I'm hoping for a positive result, whether it's a draw or a win. But, I wouldn't be too disheartened if we did lose tonight.
OK, so sort of saying it's not the end of the world. It's still, because obviously there's that game in hand and the point advantage as well. Matt Lockwood, I'll let you get ready for the game. Thank you very much indeed for your time as always, and we'll catch up soon.
Take care, guys. All the best.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt Lockwood there, our Cambridge United expert. He's at Bromley tonight. So, let's hear from Neil Harris again. Obviously, we're talking about the goalkeeping situation, and he, again, has sort of echoed what Matt was saying there about trying to do the right thing in the interest of Ben Hughes. Let's have a listen to him now.
To ask him to go again in such a pivotal game would have been a real big ask for him. And a real huge gamble. So we decided to go down the route of seeing what options were available to bring in more experienced goalkeepers. Jack comes with high pedigree, a lot of football played, not so much in the last few months, but some football played at the start of the first half of the season, and a hell of a lot of football played in the last 2 years.
Yes, that's the decision there to bring a new goalkeeper in. Obviously, the stipulations are that they have to sort of cut player, basically. So it's all a bit confusing, but either way, probably a sensible thing to have experience really in a game like this. But again, just looking at the other teams, Swindon, I mean, they're playing teams. They've got Grimsby, have got an outside shot at the playoffs. Same with Chesterfield, they've got ambitions too. Accrington haven't got a lot to play for. Do you think teams sometimes, Jamie, could go into holiday mode, or do you think actually they might look at games and think actually we could have a say in this, we could ruffle some feathers and end the season on a high? I think a lot of managers might be saying, well, actually, let's try and end the season strong. Let's just get some points on the board and end strongly. Well,
it's obviously so tight in the table, particularly around sort of the playoff positions and the automatic positions, and players obviously competing for contracts, and you just want to win because that's what you're here to do.
Well, no team wants to lose. That's the thing. Even at this stage of the season, they might think, well, actually, we've had a bit of a rotten campaign. Let's just get some points on the board and end strongly.
Exactly. I mean, we have Barrow on next week on Saturday. They're in the relegation zone at the moment, but so they will still want to win. They're playing for something. Grimsby coming up on Tuesday. Everyone's playing for something. They're playing for playoffs. So you never know what can happen really. And
Bromley lost to Barrow recently as well. So we've seen that. Obviously, we've seen the impact that dropping out the Football League can have on teams. So. Yeah. Of course, they're going to go all out, aren't they? Really, that's an interesting race as well. It's sort of 5 teams, trying to stay up at the moment. So obviously, there are teams that will have bearings. But I think the 2 most significant games, if you look at the run-in for all the top 6, really, Salford Bromley, that could be interesting. I mean, we don't know. Depending on what happens tonight, it could be a game where Bromley might be able to steal the title. If they lose tonight, then obviously Salford might be able to sneak in. There's just so many variables at the moment. We just don't know what's going to happen, really. And then obviously the Hughes game in hand, that really is their kind of trump card, really, in a way. It's almost their cheat code, the Grimsby game. If they can get anything out of that will be helpful. That game has been postponed twice. Once because of the frozen pitch, and then once because of international call-up. So is it the game that's it's the game that's destined not to happen? But third time lucky. Hopefully they can get that on and get something from that, really. We were sort of saying about the number of points. I think it was 5 or 6 probably is the number that we'd go for as well. But what about other aims for the Usury? Is the title still within reach, would you say? Especially if they have to win tonight, realistically, to sort of have a shot at that, really. And is that something that you think, does it matter, basically? How or is it just a case of just get up and, and no one's going to think badly of them if they don't get the title, basically?
Well, win would take them within 3 points of Bromley. So it would be... I mean, I suppose most Cambridge United fans just really want to seal that promotion. I mean, that's the priority, I suppose, and anything else is a bonus. But if we did end up in that position, why not? I mean, Neil Harris, he's a winner. I think he's created a winning culture, so he'll have that in the back of his mind somewhere. But the priority is to get that promotion.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's the thing. I think people will let's say you just. Maybe the title is the cherry on the top, really, isn't it? In a way, it's a bonus. So just that's the thing. It's probably at the moment it's it's not out of reach, is it? It's obviously depends on what happens tonight, obviously, but it's not out of reach.
Yeah, no, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens over the last few games. Obviously, MK Dons are in there as well. I think lots of people at the start of the season tipped them to be miles ahead at the top of the table. So,
and they've had wobbles too, the MK Dons. They've shown the fragility. I mean, everybody's shown fragility. Everyone's. The only team, every team. If you look at the last 6 games, everybody's lost at least one in that run as well. I think the MK Dons have shown some fragility. 2 wins in 6. You look at Swindon, obviously 1 defeat in 6. They've managed to pick up 3 wins, 2 draws, so not bad from that side. Notts County hammered really by Cambridge United Saturday, it has to be said, really. And it's amazing how a team can go down to 10 and then still hold on. You think at 3-0 up, they obviously had enough of a cushion, so obviously didn't really matter about the red card in the end. But obviously the difficulty is, people might start thinking, well, we've got a young goalkeeper, might just start firing shots from anywhere, really, and then in the hope they might catch him out. There's probably a lot of safeguarding cues. But let's hear now from Neil Harris again. Now, leadership something that's very important in the team. Michael Morrison's been out the side. He still gave a good rallying cry, which helped them get that result over Notts County. But Don Ball's been wearing the captain's armband, and Scotty McGeorge has been talking to Neil about the significance of leadership and Don Ball specifically. Let's have a listen.
Neil, Don Ball's been wearing the captain's armband in the absence of Michael Morrison, and he sort of seems to be peaking just at the right time. His form's been excellent. He says that's down to playing 90 minutes and the continuity of playing, and you'll probably agree that his performances have really sort of found a new level.
Yeah, he has. An early goal really helps in it to give you the confidence to go on and perform at the best of your ability. But yeah, Dom's played levels above this and has comfortably competed in certainly the Championship for a long time. So he's a very good player. Reads the game very well. He had issues early in the season around the knee. But he's come back really strong, and what I'd say with Dom is, I think as the level of opponent has ramped up, Dom's got better in games, and sometimes there's a consciousness, sometimes there's a subconscious to it. But obviously the big games bring out the best of Dom Ball, and I hope that's the case. If fit and selected tomorrow evening, it is the same. But Dom has been excellent. He's not a leader by huge voice, but he's a leader by standards, discipline. Calmness, very rarely gets phased by things, and he's been a really important part of us growing this season as a team.
Well, we're talking about the importance of experienced players like Don Ball. He's 30, he's had obviously a second spell back at the U's. But just want to quickly ask you, Jamie, about the away support. Now, Neil Harris has called the fans nutters in the past. Obviously, quite a lot of them went to Barrow, but they obviously got their reward for doing so. Just how important is that travelling support going to be tonight?
It's going to be really important. I think about 500, just over 550 U's fans are making the trip down to Greater London tonight. So it's going to be massive. It's going to be a sold-out stadium. So really, really going to make a massive difference, obviously. And it's going to be anyone who's making the trip down, anyone who's lucky enough to get tickets for that sold-out game. I'm sure they're going to make lots of noise, even though it is a Thursday night and they might have work the next day, but I'm sure they won't hold back. Absolutely.
Well, that's a question that Scotty McGeorge has also put to Neil Harris about the fans. Let's have a listen now.
Not too many away fans making the journey due to the allocation, but you'll be hoping just over 500 of the U's fans can sort of make the sound of 1,000, if you like, in what will be a sold-out arena tomorrow.
Well, this is the stage of the season you want to see your team perform, isn't it, in big games. I think Saturday was biggest crowd since 91, at the Abbey, and it was electric, and saw the level of performance. And when you're 3-0 up and you get a stroke of luck before half-time. I think I can call it a stroke of luck when they hit the bar with their only chance in the game, because the lads should hit the target. You need energy to feed off that, and then start the second half. You need energy, and you need a reaction from the fans, because then see a reaction from the players come out and not sit back and just try and defend the box. And we saw a unison within the stadium, and it worked brilliantly. And we deserved to win the second half. Was the better team. So that was excellent. And we need the same from the away fans. We've got no given right to turn up and win a game of football. You have to earn everything in our industry. Nothing's given to you on a plate. We had to earn the right to win 4-0 against Notts County. We had to earn the right to win 5-0 against Gillingham. We had to earn the right to come from behind and win games. And you do it. You do it because the desire in the team, you do it the desire of the individual, and you do it the desire of the fan base to come and support the team, to travel around the country. So, tomorrow, for the lucky ones have got tickets, I know we could have sold over sort of 5, 6, 7 times the amount we have. But the lucky ones that are there, then come and do us proud and get behind the players.
Fantastic stuff from Neil Harris. Well, later on we'll hear from youth defender Liam Bennett. We'll keep an eye on the team as well. Once we get it, we'll bring it to you. This is from the Terraces, Rose Ed, with me, Daniel Baker, and Jamie Mann in the studio. Still to come, we're going to be talking all things Cambridge City, and Histon's joint manager Matt Payne joins us live too. Keep it locked to Cambridge Radio. Back in a mo.
Cambridge Radio. Cambridge Radio podcasts tell the story of our city and the people who live here. Hear the stories of women making a difference in women making waves.
That has brought me to working with women, knowing that you can recover from things and that art can give you huge strength.
Download the latest in tech with Gadget Guide.
Cambridge, the home to the Raspberry Pi Foundation and the Raspberry Pi little computer, means, of course, Cambridge has a community forum. That's the Cambridge Raspberry Jam.
Debate the issues that matter to you with CAMS Politics.
If the elections do take place in 2027, new councils will take over a year later in 2028.
Listen to your favourite Cambridge podcast on Radio Player or wherever you get your podcasts.
From the Terraces.
Cambridge Radio.
Welcome back to From the Terraces, Rose Ed here on Cambridge Radio. So, Cambridge City, safely secured over the Easter weekend. They're now safe. They're going to be staying in the division. They might be moved for geographical reasons, but they're still going to be playing at Step 4 in 26-27. Mickey Spillane spoke to us on Sunday after the 2-1 loss against Redbridge. They've got 2 games to go. Let's get his thoughts. So, Mickey, a 2-1 defeat yesterday. Not quite the result you would have wanted. Sum that up for us.
I think we lost it in the first 25 minutes, really. Borderline first half, but the first 25 we just didn't come out. They come out the traps. We was against the wind. We didn't deal with it. Ended up 2-0 down and just couldn't recover in the end. Obviously, we give it a good go second half, but wasn't enough. Yeah,
you're at the stage of the season now where you've secured safety. It's just a case of trying to finish as high as you can now, something that Jayden Randall was talking about on Monday, really. But what kind of observations have you made in terms of looking ahead to next season? Have you learned quite a lot from the games you've had recently in terms of what the future might look like and what the team might look like for next season?
Yeah, I think so. I think we've been looking at that every game since you come in. You're always looking into kind of how to improve. I think it's the same as yesterday. Every game, I don't think it affected, or probably the first 25 minutes, first time it looked like that. It looked like that we was at the end of the season, nothing to play for. I don't think we've looked like that in the past, but that first 25 minutes / first half, it felt like that and looked like that, which was disappointing. But as I said, second half, we got a good reaction from them, but it was a little bit too late for that.
In terms of next season, you've obviously got 1 or 2 players that will stick around. I think we know that Jayden's going to be doing so. He's obviously signed that long-term deal. Are there any others that you've got locked in for next year?
Yes, obviously Jayden signed on a contract. Freddie's on a contract also. So yeah, them 2 are locked in already, and then obviously we'll start speaking to the other boys over the next few weeks about the plans moving forward.
Yeah, and obviously 2 games to go now in the league. Is the aim very much to try and get as many points as possible and just end the season on a high and just keep trying to sort of have a little bit of momentum going into the summer?
Yeah, of course. Obviously 2 games left, so we'll be looking to win both games and finish on a high. And obviously players all turning up and trying to give everyone some minutes to finish off with. If we can get, obviously Kingy was trained last week, so if we can get him some minutes, that'd be brilliant. But yeah, we want to win the last 2 games and finish on a high.
Definitely. In terms of your own sort of first 3 quarters of a season as well, you've got a whole season ahead. How excited are you to be able to get a full summer and a full season ahead to try and sort of make the team your own, really, and try and kick on from what's happened this season?
Yeah, really excited. Obviously, there's loads of things that I've learned as we go, and I'm excited to get into the summer with the whole season in front. Obviously, with the stand opening as well, that would be big for the club. So hopefully, it'll be a really exciting season next year.
Well, brilliant, Mickey. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Sorry it wasn't the result you wanted yesterday, but hopefully the season does end on a high with 2 results as you're hoping for.
Yes, thank you, mate.
Mickey Spillane there talking to me on Sunday after the defeat to Redbridge. Well, congratulations to Cambridge City's amputee team. They've reached the Disability FA Cup final. That's being shown live on TNT Sports in June. Duncan Rumbelow is their manager and has been speaking to me and begun by telling us about the newly formed side's journey to date. Let's have a listen to that now.
I'm the manager of the Cambridge City FC amputee team. We compete in the England Amputee Football League, which is the EAFL. This is run by the England Amputee Football Association. This is the main domestic competition for amputee footballers and gives them regular football and basically helps the sport to grow nationally. For 2026, the league, the EAFL, has teams from Chelsea, Everton, a combined team from Scotland who are known as AFAS, and obviously ourselves, Cambridge City, so 4 teams in the league. The league's basically run at central match day location, which means we'll play multiple fixtures at the same venue on the same day to make life a little bit easier from having to travel around the country. The league runs basically from February to September. The venue for all our league games is at Rees Heath College, which is in Nantwich near Crewe. We're currently sitting 3rd in the league after playing 3 games. Our next league meeting's on 25th of April, obviously this month, where we want to build on a solid start and hopefully move up the table. Chelsea are currently sitting top of the league on 9 points, Everton 2nd with 6, we're 3rd with 3 points, and the Scottish team, AFAS, are 4th with no points. In addition to the league, which I've just explained about, there is a League Cup that was played last month and won by Everton, so they're the current cup holders for 2026. Also, in addition to that, is the Disability FA Cup. The finals held on Saturday, 27th of June this year, and it's been held at St George's Park, which, as you know, is the home of the England national football teams. We've reached the final and we'll be playing against Chelsea. That match will be live on TV. It's been an incredible start for us. This is obviously our first season in the league, and we're up against other teams that have been playing together in this league for years and have very established squads. Our squad's still getting used to playing together, although to watch us, we certainly don't look like a newly formed team. We've got a number of English and Irish internationals in our squad. We also have a female international player in the squad, as the league is a mixed league. One milestone already for Cambridge City this year is there have only been 2 female players that have ever scored in this particular league. The first was Izzy Paparonakou. She's scored for Portsmouth. She's now signed for us, so she's a Cambridge City player. The second female to score in the league is Belle Dorman. She scored for us last month in a Cambridge City shirt. We've got her on loan for Everton. So the 2 females that have scored in that league are both obviously connected to Cambridge City. I was going to say, it's quite a new team, isn't it, really? That's what's really striking, is it's not been set up that long ago, and you've already sort of made really good progress in the leagues, got to a cup final as well, and obviously you're clearly pleased to be a part of that as well, which is really great to see. The TV exposure as well. I wanted to ask about that. How important is that to be on TNT Sports and to be getting the word out there? This must be such an exciting thing for yourselves and the players, especially after not setting up that long ago. Definitely. The TV exposure we get is very important, not just for Cambridge City, but also to promote sport and obviously future opportunities. Disabilities, sport's so important, and it can be life-changing for some people. Obviously, whether we get local, national, TV or radio really helps to promote the sport in general, and obviously us as a club. In terms of the cup itself, now, actually, thinking about the cup and actually the format itself, now, obviously, just run me through how many players do you have on each team, and how does it differ from conventional football, if you like, in terms of the minutes in the half, the pitch dimensions, that sort of thing? How is it adapted, would you say? I mean, obviously it's adapted quite a bit. It's basically 7-a-side. So the 6 outfield players would be on crutches and not using prosthetics. Goalkeeper would have one arm. The other arm would be tucked in their shirt. The games are normally either 15 or 20 minutes a half and 2 halves, depending on the size of the pitch. So it's quite different. There's There's not throw-ins from the sideline, it's kick-ins. There's no offside, which does make the game quite interesting. So obviously different tactics required to deal with that. Also, a handball can be given if a ball touches a player's crutch. That can be handball and result in a kick to the other team as well.
I was going to ask you about your FA Cup journey as well this season. Who have you played so far in the run up to the final, and how many rounds do they have as well? I'd be interested to know kind of where it all starts and how long ago it all started. Was it, is it something that you'd have to go through quite a number of rounds?
Yeah, I mean, the league now involves 4 teams, basically. So because of the players that we had and signed from last year, that has allowed us to go straight through to the final against Chelsea.
But all the same, a fantastic accomplishment as well for a team, as I said, that hasn't been around for that long. There must be a real buzz, actually, around the team at the moment as well. And what kind of message have you had to be given to your players? I mean, it's a little while away yet, this final, but just how excited are they? And, and sort of how are you feeling as well from this point of view? I don't know how long you've been involved in coaching or anything like that, but this must be a really proud moment for you too.
Oh, massively. I mean, not many people get the opportunity to play or even manage a team that competes in the Disability FA Cup. So, absolutely massive. Players and the club are already talking about it. Obviously, we've got our next league fixture this month, so we're trying to put that to one side to obviously concentrate on the league. But, it's obvious it's a massive opportunity, and June will soon be here. I think as well that the players deserve so much credit for reaching the final, and a massive thank you to the club, Cambridge City, obviously for believing in us, because it is a new project. It's something that they've not done before. They've not got the budgets, obviously the likes of Everton and Chelsea have, but they've believed in the squad, what we're trying to achieve, and that is a massive bonus for them as well. And a thank you for all the work that they've done behind the scenes as well, which sometimes we don't all see. So it's big for everyone involved, really.
Once again, very well done to the amputee team, and we'll obviously touch base with them nearer the time ahead of that final in June. So Cambridge City, 2 games to go. They've obviously got 2 key players sticking around in Jayden Randall and Freddie Hockey. They've got new deals, so they're 2 players that are locked in for next season. Up next for them, it's Downham Town at Sawston on Saturday in the penultimate game of the season. They're also doing a silent auction as well. You can own a piece of city history with bespoke shirts, other bonus items and truly special items. It's all going to be raising money for a brand new digital scoreboard at the Forward IP Community Stadium, a fan-focused upgrade that will improve every matchday experience. More details on the club website and on the Facebook group as well. Up next, we're talking all things Histon. Don't go away.
From the Terraces,
Cambridge Radio.
When we come back, we'll be talking all things Histon.
Out in the country, far from all the subtle noise of the city, there's a village green. It's been a long time since I last set eyes on the church with the steeple down by the village green.
OK, time to talk all things Histon then. So the playoff dream is not mathematically over, but is the focus going to be on next season? We shall find out. Joint manager Matt Payne should join us shortly to discuss that. 1 game to go, and it's an away one. They play Leicester Nirvana, a team that they know very well indeed. And as I say, we'll be chatting to Matt any moment now. So I'm hoping with a bit of luck that Matt Payne is on the line. Matt, are you there?
I am. How are we doing, guys?
Very well, thank you. And yourself?
Yeah, very good, thank you.
Good. I've got Jamie in the studio as well with me tonight. So let's start by talking about the situation at the moment. Now, the playoffs are not mathematically impossible at the moment, but is the focus going to be more towards next season now? Or are you going to sort of go in with the mindset of actually, it's not over until it's over?
Very much the latter. I think the plan for us is still to very much go into this weekend's game, just looking to win the game. Obviously, we know the maths behind it now. We need a big momentum swing there into, I think, 7-goal swing. So ideally we need a 5-0 win. Ayleston would need to lose 2-0. Again, seems not very likely under recent form, but football has a way of bringing strange things sometimes. So we have to believe we're going to go there trying to win the game and just hope that other results go in our favour and the goal swing comes with it.
Yeah, hi Matt. Can you, obviously, you're still within a chance of playoffs, but can you take pride in what you've achieved this season, whatever happens?
100%. I think we've said a few times on this call now, over the course of the season, that when we first took over, we were in 15th place in the league, and I think not many people would have given us much hope of being in this position going into the very final game of the season. So for us, of course, we'd be disappointed if we don't quite get across the line and finish in that playoff spot. But to finish in the position that we're currently in the league would still be a hell of an achievement and a real platform for us to try and build on and kick on next season to want to go that a little bit further.
And we've seen as well how competitive the division is. We've talked about this many times on the calls as well about how competitive the division is. There's so many evenly matched teams, not a lot to choose between them really over the course of a season. Bearing in mind, as you say, coming in September, it's been just over 6 months now since you and Mark took over from Chris Nunn. And obviously we sort of say as well that the permutations are quite big. Obviously you need sort of things to go your way outside of it. But even as you say, a 6th place finish does sound like a decent achievement really. But in terms of the summer, obviously you've got to sort of look ahead a little bit now because obviously the season will wrap up at the end of the month, come what may. Are you expecting the sort of current group of players to be sticking around, or at least the core of it? And have you had discussions already about who's going to be sticking around basically?
There's not been any real discussions with players at this point in time. I'm always a big believer you want to get to the end of the season, even if people will naturally have their own conversations with other people outside of the club. Once we definitely get this last one out the way, or maybe the playoff games, if we somehow get into them still, definitely conversations will take place after them. But we've said it from day one, and we're saying it now. We want a large part of this current squad to be with us going into next season, whichever division that ends up in. So it is very much our aim to want to try and retain as much of the squad as possible. But of course, as always, you're always going to be interested in any players out there that might be able to add something a little bit different or a bit more quality to your squad that you don't currently have. We have had plenty of phone calls between me and Mark recently with players showing interest in next season already. So I'm sure whether it's with new additions or the existing squad, we will have a good season next year.
Yeah, and that's good to be forward-thinking in that sense as well, because there's so many positives. I mean, obviously, it might not quite work out that you get into that top 5, but there are positives. You can reel these off. Connor Barnes getting so many goals and getting his personal best, I think, as well. Great leadership from Max York, and obviously showing that he can attack as well and getting double figures for himself as well. And I'm sure there's many more positives you can take as well from this season, however it finishes.
Absolutely. The guys have given it their best. We can't ask for much more than that. Of course, we're disappointed by a few of the draws that we've had recently. I think that's the other crazy thing. I think looking at the stats, we've only lost one in the last 6 games, but it's the draws that have ultimately hurt us a little bit. And the squad have just taken its toll with injuries. We've been really lucky most of the season, then we've hit the final half a dozen games. A couple of the key players have picked up these knocks or longer-term injuries, and it's just rocked the squad a little bit. But they've been a resilient bunch all year. They've really bought into what me and Mark have asked of them, and I still think there's lots to be positive about, like you say, moving forward into next season.
Yeah, and obviously the interesting thing as well is that in a few months' time you'll probably find out what division you're going to be in. I don't know, obviously, hopefully it'll be the same one from a travel point of view, because you don't want to be put in a division where there's even more travelling to do, but get across that bridge when you come to it. But let's talk about Leicester Nirvana, final day of the season, an away game for that one. You know them pretty well, don't you, really? I think you probably know what to expect by now.
Yeah, definitely not someone we're underestimating, that's for sure. We need permutations-wise going into the game, but we had a very tough home game against them much earlier in the season. And again, I think we've disposed of the myth in recent weeks where teams that sort of typically sit mid-table, almost a lot of teams think that's the best team to play, but not in the UCL League. Those games have caused us some real bother recently. The sides are still sort of building themselves for next year. They might have been disappointed with the seasons they've had, and therefore they're out there to sort of put a marker on some of the bigger teams or higher-up teams in the league this year to sort of make statements ready for next season. So definitely expecting a tough game, a tough pitch to go to, and they will want to finish on the high. It's their last game at home as well, so everyone wants to win that last game, especially when you're at home in front of your fans, and hopefully we'll be able to go there and upset that cart.
Yeah, just finally, before we go, Matt, just a quick word on team news. How's the squad looking in terms of availability and options available to you for Saturday?
Not as good as what we would like, sadly. We've still got a fair few out injured, so squad won't be too dissimilar to what we had out at home to Atherstone, but yeah, sadly a couple, their seasons have ended. It's not quite game's coming a little bit too soon for them. Maybe if it was another week or so, we might have 1 or 2 back, but yeah, similar side to what we had against Atherstone, probably 4 or 5 still out on the injury list, sadly.
OK, well, brilliant. Well, Matt Payne, thank you very much indeed for joining us as always. Pleasure to chat as always, and good luck on Saturday, and we'll see what happens in terms of permutations, but great to chat as always.
Cheers, guys. Thanks very much, and thanks for your coverage with us this year as well. It's been really good.
No problem at all. Pleasure.
Cheers, guys.
Histon joint manager Matt Payne there chatting to us. As I say, it's an interesting one because they've got to have a goal swing of 7, as he's saying as well. There's got to be a change. There's got to be a situation where there's so much to do. But you never know. It's never over until it's over, as they say in leagues. It's obviously until, as he says, not over till it's over. We have seen situations before, not very often, mind, where goal difference has swung. I think it did happen in was it League 2 a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Bristol Rovers scored 7 and managed to get 7 goals, but it wasn't genuinely fixed. They were playing a team that were Scunthorpe team that were down and out by that point anyway. But but as you said, from what Matt Payne said there as well, there are positives you can take away. Bearing in mind, if a manager comes in effectively mid-season, or joint manager in this case, come in mid-season, It can be very. I think the Chris Nunn departure shocked a lot of people. Really, obviously he's gone to be assistant manager at St Neots, so they know the club well. So obviously it wasn't the biggest change in the world, wasn't the biggest shake-up in the world, perhaps. But you have to say, from 15th to 6th, as he says, that's a heck of an achievement.
No, it really is. I mean, it is that continuity again with them coming on and taking the role of the joint role of joint managers. So. It's a great achievement to be where they are now, and their mentality will be, we can still do this, we can still achieve the playoffs. So that's the frame of mind that Matt will be putting the players in ahead of tomorrow's game or Saturday's game.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, we know how competitive that division is at the moment, really, as well. I mean, we've said it so many times before, anyone could beat anyone. There's not a lot to choose between the teams, really, in the end. And obviously, the trouble about being Step 5 as well, they've only recently introduced playoffs. So for a long time, it was only the top 2 that went up. And obviously, if you finished outside the top 2, it's just a case of trying to finish as high as you can. But obviously, they've now opened up the playoffs with, obviously, you might have to play quite a few games away from home, but you still can be in with a shot. So before we go, we'll try and get the team news, hopefully what will come through to us shortly. But we will now hear from Liam Bennett, the Cambridge United defender, who's been speaking ahead of the game.
Yeah, exactly that. Like I say, it's the games you want to be playing in. We've worked hard to get into the position we're in, and we just have to go and make the most of it.
Yeah, and we have now had the team news in, so that we can say that the only sort of one change from Saturday is the expected one, really. It's the goalkeeper that's the only thing that's different, really. So it's Jake Walton in goal. In the number 12 jersey, he's in goal. Bennett, Ball, Watts, Kai, Knight, Mayer, Impanzu, Lavery starting. That's an interesting one, really. I think Matt Lockwood was saying he'd rather have Appere, but Lavery's going to be interesting. Do you think he might still get a full 90 minutes? Then do you think he might actually be, or will he be just sort of taken off at half-time, do you think? How's he going to work this one, Neil Harris, do you think, with Lavery?
Well, that's a really interesting decision, and I think quite a lot of fans will actually welcome it because he has made such a great impact. He made a great impact on Saturday. Obviously, he is very injury prone, but we're at the business end of the season now. We should take those risks. He does. I think Neil Harris said previously that we are a better team when he's in the team. So it's interesting, and good that Neil Harris has that confidence to start him.
Yeah, but he's been described as a wasp as well. That's something that Scotty McGeorge was talking to him about at the weekend, actually, about a nuisance, and that's kind of what you need, really, in a striker. So it's probably going to be a 4-5-1 by the look of it as well. It looks like Lavery's leading the line, Knight probably in behind, Kai and Mayer providing the width, and Panzu and Ball in the centre of the park, and obviously the back four kind of selects itself, really, Job, Gibbons, Bennett, and Watts. So we'll see if Kel Watts can use his knee tactic. Hopefully Jake Walton's been briefed on how that works. I don't know if Mikel Arteta's cottoned onto it yet, but we'll see. Let's hear again now from Liam Bennett. He's been talking ahead of the game, and he says it's a critical stage of the season where sides will be going all out for every point they can get, with promotion and relegation on the line for several sides in League 2.
It's that time of the season where it's crunch time, and you have to make sure that you're putting in results, and it's not going to be straightforward. Everyone's fighting for something, so we're just going to keep doing what we're doing and hopefully be on a positive result tomorrow.
Yeah, so Liam Bennett was speaking to the media yesterday. So probably I think an expected sort of lineup, really. The one obvious change, an attacking team. The substitutes can confirm for the game. Obviously, Ben Hughes is on the bench. Ben Purrington. Michael Morrison is back in the squad as well. He's obviously had a bit of time out, but he could feature tonight. I guess James Brophy drops to the bench. Corey Smith, again, he's sort of been he has had a time on the sidelines too. Appere and Elliot Nevitt make up the bench. An 8 o'clock kickoff for that one at the Copperjacks Community Stadium. So there might be more Hughes fans in the building by now. Hopefully they've all started to flock in. I think they sold out of tickets, didn't they, as well, which probably isn't a huge surprise.
Yeah, complete sellout. Likewise with the Crewe game, and I believe the Barrow game, a home game.
Yeah, that's a good one. I think it's just about. I think the fans, are sort of saying, well, we'll get to every game no matter what now, especially at this stage of the season. promotion is on the cards. I think this is something that Scotty and I were talking about as well, as that, you know, he's going to try and get to every game, wherever it might be. It could even be on the other side of the earth, and there's still, you know, you'd still try and go, wouldn't you? Because you want to be there. There's an I was there moment to be had somewhere, isn't there?
Exactly. I mean, people want to be there. Just they want to see the big moment. You know, will the U's go up? I mean, hopefully they will. And the fans want to be there for that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as I say, I scribbled down the kind of the games left for the top 6. We know that picture's going to change. We know that come Tuesday when the U's play Grimsby, the picture's going to look very different. We don't know who's going to be, you know, we don't know what's going to happen in terms of, you know, who will be in what position, really. There's going to be a lot of movement. Anybody can kind of end up anywhere, really, depending on what happens tonight. Obviously, if Bromley win, promoted, Salford beat Bromley next week, they could then potentially move within the top 3. There's so many things, you know, it takes too long to work out, really. Obviously, I'd probably rather do Pythagoras' theorem than try and work out all the permutations right now. But, you know, we know that picture's going to change. There are still teams that are going to be having a say in this. We know that for certain as well. Obviously, you know, Grimsby got, you know, with the U's game in hand. Chesterfield obviously looking to cement their playoff spot as well. They're obviously going to be playing teams at the top and at the bottom as well. We know that teams really are fighting for their lives. So let's just do a quick recap. We've got about a minute to go on the show. Let's do a quick recap then of the games. Now, as we know, Bromley versus Cambridge United kicks off in just over an hour's time. And we'll bring you all the reaction to that game on Cambridge Breakfast in the Morning with Linda Ness. Cambridge City playing at Downham Town. That's going to be a home game, 3 o'clock kickoff at the Community Stadium at Sawston. The City rather already safe for the season, looking to end the season on a high. It's been a bit of an interesting one since the turn of the year. Really, things have been a little bit tricky for them, but hopefully they can end the season on a high with the last home game of the regular season. Histon, as we know, big ask for them to try and get into that top 5. It's very much a case of never say never, as Matt Payne was saying there. But they've got to win at Leicester Nirvana. I hope that Atherstone Town are beaten, and for it to be a swinging goal difference too. So we will see how that unfolds. It'll be an interesting afternoon either way for that. So if you want to listen to the show again, if you missed the start, want to tune in again, you can do so. The podcast will be available on YouTube later tonight and on our website, which is cambridge.radio. Click on the podcast button and it will appear there later this evening. Scotty's back in the main chair on Sunday from 6 o'clock. Thank you to Jamie Mann for joining me this evening.
Thank you very much, Daniel, for having me on. I've really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate you having me on the show. And
good. And we'll be back in 2 weeks' time. Take care. Bye for now.